Hey guys, I'm a disaster. Please don't judge me. I have not brushed my hair yet. It's been a week of extraordinary work, and we did decide to sleep in a little bit today, and I feel like I'm going to pay a price for that. But I wanted to, yes, that's a pile of laundry right there. Did I get a chance to fold it yesterday? No, I did not. I will do that today. But I have so many tomatoes on my hands, and we have now everything starting to explode out there in the garden, as well as at least 100 ears of corn that are about to come down today. Several dozen more tomatoes are coming in. We have blackberries to harvest, and it's going to end up being a day of it. I processed so efficiently this week, I can't even wrap my brain around it. But yesterday I bowled up 6 gallons of tomato gravy. And that's just the beginning, because all of my beautiful aromas and Amish paste are just starting to ripen. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show that to you, and then we'll be taking you outside today to show you everything else that we're about to harvest and what the status of the garden is, because it changes so dramatically day by day. So I think it's important for anyone who is looking to start this to know what it looks like. Alrighty, so this is the ripening process of these absolutely incredible aromas. So I had to let them sit, and a majority of them are now ripened to almost near perfection. They're nice and soft and even in color. There's no blossom bottom rot. The tops are healthy, the shoulders are smooth, nothing cracked. So I did pull them in right on time. Everything just looks so incredible. All of the Borghese grape tomato is what I use to add a thickening element to the gravy. These get pasty when you cook them, so I don't have to add separate paste. And this is the next phase of ripening that will probably get processed tomorrow. And then we're pulling off more today. So that's how that looks. And yeah, it's going to end up being a day of it. So, but my gosh, it's so beautiful. I look at this and I'm just in awe. Well, you guys, it is now going on 5 o'clock, and I thought that my day was going to be at a much different pace. So I just processed pounds and pounds and pounds of tomatoes again, and it's wonderful, but it's really taxing. So we're getting ready to go back, and it's the heat of the day. But with tomatoes, you have to pull them at a certain time, because the water that they take in overnight and in the morning really needs to caramelize inside of it. So if you pull them too soon in the day, or too quickly after a watering, their water content is just completely different. And the skin changes, and you get just a watery tomato. And it's not even that it's watered down flavor, it's the consistency. And then you're dealing with a compromised ripening process. So when you pull them in the heat of the day and they're nice and warm, and then you put them out on the counter and you wait for them to get deep red, and you know that they're ripening without any pest pressure, it changes everything. So the tomatoes that I just processed now were epic. They roasted up so beautifully. So now we're going to go back and pull more of the aromas. John worked to pull several containers of the Borgheses. So I have my work cut out for me. We're also going to go back and check and see the corn. I think that we're possibly harvesting corn today as well. So the fun continues. Grabbing the hod. Here we go. It is a very, very warm but beautiful day. The grass is trying to recover, thank goodness, because I'm really over the days of growing grass. But the grass that I do have, I like my yard to look like a park. I know not everybody's yard looks like a park, but I work really hard. So I want it a certain way. So there's not a whole lot of Roma tomatoes that are, too demanding right now. You can see how beautiful they look. But we'll get these guys pulled off. Like, that's too soon to come off because it still has some yellow on it. But like that one right there, that's going to come in and it will ripen up real quick. We do have We have some volunteer watermelon that are growing nicely all alongside the tomatoes. And there's several here that I'll pull as well. Now, everything it's going crazy. It's like you can come out here in the morning and it looks one way, and then you come out in the afternoon and stuff has gone absolutely bonkers. So the tomatoes ripen so rapidly. Oh, look how nice John cleaned up the wild garden a little bit, because it was so wild. It was so beautiful, but I couldn't navigate back here. So it was taking me, I would have to go down this aisle and then back up this aisle just to get to something over here, because it was just too thick. Now, there are bugs that hide in some of these flowers, and I just don't mess with the bugs. So I'll take the long way before I take the short way and get popped by a wheel bug. So, but anyway, that's my rambling. I'll be pulling some of these guys over there. There are some Amish paste I see. See, it's like you stand back and have a look from a distance, and you see that there's a whole load of tomatoes. These are the Amish paste, and they really do cook up so beautifully. So it's actually not so bad out here. It is the heat of the day, but wow, what a difference it makes when it's not humid. And I want to show you guys a couple of things. I have these are the Marconi peppers, and a few of them are they're growing so beautifully. Look how big and beautiful these Marconis are. So I'll be pulling them. I think I'm gonna pull a few more shishito peppers, which are over here, one of my obsessions. And they freeze so well. So I just wash them, let them dry, and then I put them in a baggie. And you don't even need to take the seed pods out. And we have stuff from 2 years ago that are still in excellent condition. Now I have bald-faced wasp now. They're a whole different thing to battle. These are keystone-resistant bell peppers. And John harvested an entire 2-pound container of the Borghesies, and it looks a whole lot less overwhelming right now, which I'm happy about. These Martinos, I don't know what happened with them back here. They were pretty productive, but I don't know if a hornworm came and ate the leaves or what, but all the leaves just vanished, and they're not putting out a second round of flowers. So, which, I'm not going to complain about that, because I have a lot of Verona tomatoes right now. Look how beautiful these tall marigolds are. There's Farmer John lost in the forest of zucchini. He's got zucchini. But now here's our new thing is, something got in there and damaged two of the Hungarian hearts are damaged. See, this is what pest pressure does. You see right there on the shoulder. It was probably a stink bug. So we do have stink bugs we're dealing with, and it's not fun, because you baby this, you nurture it, you make it grow, and then this bug would just come and stick its thing in. Well, never mind. Let me rephrase that. It sticks its probe in, and it wants to get a drink or whatever.
It's getting worse.
And then it ruins it. So, and you can cut that away, but the tomato ripens immediately. So anyway, we're going to, now this is wild. The zucchini got to its screw it level, and it said, I'm done, okay? It's still spitting out onesies, twosies, but this is typical for zucchini. I see the bugs are starting to come out now. See some other things we're going to look at. Look at these gorgeous marigolds. I came out here and said I was going to go right to tomatoes and get that harvested so I could get in and get a shower and rest. And then I corrected myself by saying, let me clear the counters and make the coffee for the morning and get everything in the dishwasher, because I know it's going to be much longer than 10 minutes. And here I am making videos. So, and I've got a few muncher cucumbers that are still producing, so we're going to pull them off. This plant has seen better days. However, I contradict myself by saying it also has flowers. So it's still growing. Can't complain. This garden wants to give. Now, here is the beast. The beast, I was going to say from the east, but it's actually in the west. It's in the west of the yard, the best of the west. So, yep, it's the corn. And honestly, you guys, I'm like, yeah, this is one of these things again where it's like I'm happy and I'm horrified because I know that I have to process all this corn, and I'm not being ungrateful, I'm just being real. So, what on earth is this all covered in pollen? Do you see it flying around there?
Yeah.
Is that or is that, oh no, that's one of those European wasps. We have a lot of aggressive bugs out here, so. All right, guys, I'm going to put the camera down. We're going to move on to putting you guys in a stationary position while we pull some tomatoes, and then we're going to get to the corn. Nice deep red ones in here if you want to reach in for me. My back is really starting to hurt today, so I will tell you guys, anyone who's gardening with back issues, you know, this is not easy for the person with back pain. Luckily, I've been in chiropractic care for several months now, and man, did I find the best doctors, because they're really getting me through the last few days here, because without that I wouldn't even be.
Some damage right there, so you see that?
Oh, that's not too deep. I might be able to cut that away. We'll see what happens. Yeah, so the chiropractor's been wonderful in getting me up on my feet, and as long as I don't do anything too foolish, I'm good. So this harvest isn't too tremendous, which is good, because the gallons and gallons and gallons of gravy that I'm cooking is going to get us through for a year. And that's with having a big container every week. So this is tomatoes, and hopefully we'll be getting to the corn in a few minutes. Beautiful specimen.
I'll separate that. Go ahead and pop it on.
I don't want it.
Yep.
It's too heavy. It weighs about a pound, so I don't want to put heavy tomatoes on top of the smaller guys. Of the heat is just giving them a beautiful thick consistency. So all of these lovely Martino's Roma tomatoes are grown from seed from Baker's Creek heirloom seeds, and you can also find them at rareseeds.com. We grew this last year, and for whatever reason, last year only grew to about that big. This year, this is the average. So I'm not really sure what I did different, but they're very happy. And the ones in the front that we were harvesting are also the same variety, and they're doing even better. So it seems that they really like the heat. It seems that they like it, you know, more sun, where some of these other tomatoes are doing better with some shade. But nonetheless, if I didn't harvest any more Roma tomatoes for the year, I would still have enough to get myself a year's worth of gravy processed, because the last few harvests just over the past 2 days or so has been so epic I can't even, this is yet another hod full. And the basket inside is still full. That has to get processed tomorrow. But what I'm doing is I'm taking days in between as I harvest, and I'm letting them sit at room temperature. Not in, they're in the near the window, so they have light, but they're not in full-blown light. So they're not getting too heated up in the window, and they're slowing down the ripening process a little bit, but it's buying me time. So if I were to traditionally let these sit in the window like I do every year, they all ripen at the same time. They ripen so fast I can't keep up with the process. And that's when some people might get overwhelmed and say, here neighbors, free for anyone who wants some, let me get rid of these tomatoes. But in the several years of experience that I now have under my belt, I know how to stagger the ripening process, how to put them in certain temperatures so that it slows everything down, and I can process them in batches over several days. So I'll let them sit out, then I cut them and roast them, and then I let those roasted tomatoes sit in the refrigerator overnight, and then I'll go ahead and put everything into the Vitamix and get it into the big vat like I showed you the other day. So, and yesterday, I don't know if I mentioned this, I might have, I don't even know what day it is at this point, but yesterday I put away 5 gallons of gravy. I do think I mentioned that earlier. And that's not even including the Hungarian hearts, which are now starting to build up on the counter. So, do you like my outfit? It's good? It's good. We're going to go on to corn. Now we're on our way. John is running back the hod and getting it under the umbrella so that we don't let them sit. The last thing you want to do is harvest your tomatoes and then put them in a sunny spot, because it'll just heat them up and they go into shock, and most of these containers get hot. Today he trimmed back, like I said, some of these wonderful marigolds because they were actually eating up too much walking space and they were just getting overwhelming. So he pulled these heads off and we're going to let them dry, and I'll put them into envelopes. And if you leave a little bit of the head on like that, you'll actually know what kind of flower it was, and they'll just dry like that. And then the seed pod stays inside of it, and you'll know next year that you have your seeds already and you know what you're planting. So I'm like horrified to even mention that we were supposed to harvest blackberries today, and it's just a whole other process, because everything that we harvest, I have to clean it, and I have to package it and store it, put it away properly. Most of these are at least a couple days away. So here's a tip for you guys. If you ever decide you're going to grow blackberries, let's see, let me get in there. Okay, I can't capture that through the net, but these are thornless blackberries, and the key to harvesting a blackberry where it's not bitter or sour is to wait for it to turn very dark, like dark blue black. And if it has any red speckles on it, it's still too sour, it's not ready. So you want it to be entirely dark, and you want it to almost be turning dull. And that's when you know you have a sweet blackberry. So we have copulating squash bugs here, in case anybody's interested in that. This is a family show. But look how the female is always bigger. I don't know why. Or are they stink bugs? There's some, I think squash bugs and stink bugs are in the same family. But here comes Farmer John with the cup of death. And you know, we're gonna drop them in. For some reason, we have more pest pressure in the corn this year than we have in the past. So you see how easy that was, guys? A little bit of pest management. So they're so busy doing their thing that they don't even see you coming with the cup of death. There's one there on the, they do throw off a certain smell. So.
Well, they stink.
Yeah. Is that what I'm smelling?
Oh, could be the cup of death as well.
Oh gosh. It
Sorry.
smells like something smells odd. So anyway, we're going to, I think that this ear of corn here might be a good candidate. Did you see?
Want to try it?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Cup of death is not friendly. Not nose friendly. All right, so we're just gonna peel this back, right?
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, so let's take a look and see. He's probably ready. You can see
I'm
how
wondering
it's...
why it has some discoloration. Do you think it's past prime?
Could be, yeah. We're about to find out.
I thought last week some of them were ready, but we just couldn't get to it. So this is one of the things where, you know, you're gonna know what you're growing and when it has to come off and what your window of opportunity is. So it's a
that
beautiful milk. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
we're
ready.
gonna pull this ear of corn now, and we were planning on having it today, but it's 5 o'clock, so we're well past our. So you push it down and pop it up.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Real easy. Not as easy as it sounds. I guess I'm out of practice. There we go. Yeah.
So we'll So now remember I told you before, every strand of silk leads to a kernel of corn. So you can see that some of them are undeveloped, and that's because we had a rough year with erratic weather, and you know, we gave it as much water as we possibly could. At one point we had the F1 tornado come through here and it took the corn down. So, but mostly that's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful ear of, wow, that's really, 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 really gorgeous.
Can't wait to eat it.
It's gonna be super sweet. That butterfly wants some. So, all right guys, we're going to pull some corn and then we'll show you the final harvest. So we pulled a few ears of corn. Do we know how many we have?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15.
Okay, so some of them were not ready yet. So I had one in the house to make room for these guys, and I can't get overwhelmed because I'm going to have to process all this. And for those who attempt to grow corn at some point while we're watching John husk everything, let's have a look at that. Really, really pretty. Wow, that is gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Some of this we're going to eat tomorrow. Mr. Buddy just loves corn. You hear him in there all day talking about corn. Corn. It was one of the first things that we gave to him when we took him in.
He wouldn't eat.
No, he wouldn't eat anything. It was 16 years ago. In July was his 16th anniversary with us, and he was estimated to be around 5 years old then. And all he would say in the first few days that we took him was, want a sip of soda. He wanted some beer. He wanted all sorts of stuff. And I offered him a piece of melon, and he actually did a lean back and looked at me, and he told me to sober up. And so he came from somebody that had some really bad habits, and you know, it was a real chore to get him to eat. And while corn is not the healthiest thing on the menu, and back then it certainly wasn't, because it was not homegrown corn. It was the vegetable that got Buddy to eat fresh food. So we were able to take him out onto our patio back then, and we offered him a piece of corn, and he absolutely loved it, and he just ate away. And since then, all he talks about is corn all these years. That one that you have there is gigantic. That's a massive,
Yeah.
that's at least 10 inches long. So do you think those dark spots on the tip are pest pressure?
Yeah, that's pest pressure
Okay.
right there. So if you look, I've kind of broke this apart, but yeah, it's probably pest pressure that got in there, and they could have gotten in through the tip. Normally, if there could be a worm up at the top of your corn if you're growing organic, which I have seen, so it's not abnormal to see that.
And we are, we are growing without any pesticide, without herbicide. This corn just grew from its kernels, and that was it. We planted it. It was organic corn. We're growing it organically, and we added organic soil, so we know what this has absorbed. With corn being such a heavy feeder, it's important that you know where your corn's coming from, because it's not the healthiest food. And
Very starchy, right?
It's very starchy, and it converts over into carbohydrates and sugars very easily, and a lot of people don't understand that this type of thing actually causes your triglycerides to spike, which causes inflammation in your veins. So if you're hearing from your doctor that your triglycerides are too high, one of the first things that you want to do is cut back on sugar and carbs that convert to sugars. So we're really careful. We don't eat corn very often. Now, one of the things that makes corn unhealthy is that because it's such a heavy feeder, it's going to absorb whatever it is that your grower is giving it, which is maybe a high growth fertilizer. It could be industrial grade corn. You don't know what they're spraying it with pesticides. So it absorbs everything. And the farmers have their issues, because we, as growers, we're low-scale backyard gardeners. We're battling bugs, we're battling drought, we're battling heat. It's a battle, but it's worth it, because this corn wasn't grown for corn oil or corn feed. You have, farmers who are growing corn just for cattle, and it's not grown in the best conditions. So whatever this corn eats as it's growing and it takes up, you're going to eat it.
By the way, cattle should not be eating corn.
No, cattle should not be eating corn. But that is an absolutely beautiful, perfect ear of corn. I'm pretty excited about this. Now, we eat this sparingly. We'll keep it in the freezer. I'll blanch it, flash freeze it so that to bring the temperature down so it doesn't continue cooking. I'll make sure it gets nice and dry on the countertop, and then I'll wrap it double in plastic wrap, and then I'll put it in a double freezer bag. And we just finished corn from last year.
Last month, right?
Yeah, and it was perfect. It didn't get any freezer burn because of the process that we did to make sure that we slowed down its aging and browning process. But this is Silver Queen white corn. It is a sweet corn. We're steering away from the yellow corn, which is just not as good for you. I mean, again, we're saying what's good for you and what's not good for you. One note, we're saying corn's not good for you, and then we're saying this is good for you. So there's always a contradiction, always with this sort of thing.
There's always micronutrients in it. So
micronutrients. So
there's things that corn does that we don't really know.
It does, and it's a good staple. And right now, we're putting things in the freezer, and we're stocking up. The food chain is broken. We want to make sure that if it breaks anymore, and we have war across the world, we have inflation, we have gas prices.
By the way, most of your corn comes from Russia that you're eating.
Yes, grain comes from Russia. That's going to slow everything down. Unless you're going to your local Jersey, it is corn season here in New Jersey, and corn comes from the Midwest. But with the price of gasoline, the lack of manpower, people coming into the country for labor don't really want to work anymore. So the farmers are suffering, and there are, farmers that are selling their cattle because they can't feed them, because they can't get the feed, because nobody wants to harvest the fields. So there's so many reasons to learn to grow your own food right now. This is very profound. And, we're not doing this because it's a hobby or because we're trying to challenge anybody as to what it is that you can do. This is preparing for something that could be bearing down on us. And we don't like to scare people, but sometimes you need to get a little scared because you have to face the reality of it. So anyway, you guys, this is the corn processing for the day. Find a nice thumbnail here for our YouTube page. And by the way, you guys, if you are watching YouTube, the best way to view these videos is on your television. I don't honestly know how Verizon works or any other local carrier that you may have, but we have Comcast, Xfinity, and you know, I'm not going to promote them in any way. I'm just telling you what we're dealing with. You can hear the sarcasm in my voice. Anyway, we just pick up our Comcast remote control and we speak into it and say, YouTube, our backyard garden. And our page will come right up. And you can subscribe right from there. You can like our videos and you can hit that notification bell so that every time we upload a new video, you'll get a notification. Whether it's on your television, and you'll see that any page that you subscribe to will come up in a sidebar on the left margin, and that's who you watch. And if it's highlighted, you'll know that you have a new video. And if you have it on your phone, you can also get a notification on your phone. So this is the most important time for us as growers here in New Jersey, and we have a few more months of all this. And we just, we want you guys to experience what it is that we're doing to grow and harvest food as really inexperienced growers. We're just kids that came from the city.
Two city kids.
So 2 city kids, and here we are with all this bounty, and we know you can do it. You don't have to do it to this scale. Not everybody has a half an acre that they can turn into a garden. And this area right here, this main garden, is approximately 30 by 100, and that's approximate, just on this end, from fence line to fence line. It's probably actually a little bit longer than that. I think it might be 110. But look what we did. Look what we did. We were just growing grass before. Now we've got all this variety here. And it's things that I'm growing that I know we're going to eat, and I know I can store well. So
and the birds can eat it too.
And the birds can share it too. So it's a lot of work, but to buy corn, I remember the last time I bought corn in the store, it was like 10 cents an ear. And I think you might get 2 or 3 for $1 at this point. So, and it's not good. People are telling me that they're buying white corn, and then when they open it up, it's white corn that's speckled with yellow kernels, which most likely means your corn may have been grown with other varieties and it cross-pollinates. And a lot of the yellow corn is grown for industrial use. It's sold for fuel, it is sold for grain, and yellow corn's okay, but it's not this. I wish that you could taste it. So keep in mind the purpose of what we're doing here, guys, is to really just inspire you to be aware so that you can grow something at some point and just try. And if you have questions and you want to grow corn in your garden, or anything, peppers, tomatoes, anything that you just want to try and you're not really sure and you have a question, you can post it on our YouTube page, you can post it on Facebook, you can find us on Instagram, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And then, honestly, there's a ton of educational pages out there where people are growing, and this is a movement now where we are vegetarian homesteaders because we do not harvest meat. We do not grow animals for consumption. We do not consume animals. So here is a way where you can grow something and you can maintain harvest over and over and over again without having to destroy something and then it's gone, like you would a cow. You have a cow, you harvest it, you take its meat, the cow's gone. And this is just better for you. So anyway, guys, I'm going to end this video right here tonight. We'll be posting another video probably with me processing a little bit of corn, and we'll let you know how it tastes. We're going to throw it on the grill tomorrow. So anyway, thanks for your time, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday evening. It's almost August, so get ready for the dog days of summer. Think about your garden for next year, and stay tuned, and thanks for spending your time with us. We'll see you in the next video.